My name is Lane Stokes. I'm a counselor here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm going to be teaching the course on listening. It's a fun course. I taught it years ago at my home church. 20 people participated. It was just pure fun, but people learned how to listen for the first time. Husbands were listening to their wives, and they realized that they were doing it differently. They were doing it better. They were listening to their teenage children, and it even spilled over so that their teenage children were listening to them. A whole new experience, simply because they took this simple little course. Now, as you may notice, I'm hand-holding this phone, and I'm outside, and there's somebody over there running a power tool. Everything's fairly quiet unless a squirrel lands in the tree here overhead and drops something on me. Let me talk about what listening is and why it's so important. Listening is one part of a communication. It's gathering the facts. The other part of the communication is hearing or understanding the meaning of the facts or the words that the other person is speaking. This first course is on listening, and I'll have a few words to say about hearing because it's very important too. It's just a different course. Why is listening so important? Well, in life, you need to listen to a lot of things that are being said by people, and you need to hear everything that they say and be able to repeat it if need be. And this training will be in repeating things word for word. Pardon me. I didn't think about the dust factor, the pollen factor, by sitting out here. My best example of listening is an oversimplified version of a pilot who is about to take off. Pilot calls the control tower and says, "I'm ready to take off." The tower calls back and says, "Okay, taxi out to runway 29er. The pilot repeats it. "You want me to taxi out to runway 29er? And the control tower says, "Yes." Taxi out to runway 29er. And so the pilot says, "Okay, I'm taxiing out now to runway 29er," and he takes off, no problem. He has to repeat. They have to have this two-way conversation. Listening is not just listening to somebody say. You have to let the person know that you're actually hearing everything that they say. If it had been a conversation like, "I'm ready to take off," okay, use runway 29er, and for some reason the pilot was distracted and he heard 25, and without confirming anything, he just went out 25, took a right, and was hit by an airliner coming in, and several hundred people were killed. You get the facts straight to prevent a collision. You get the facts straight in any conversation in order to understand exactly what the other person is talking about. Now, listening is very important for just an untold amount of reasons and situations. And I want to give you just three basic ones to help you understand what I'm talking about with the listening being so important. Your daughter comes to you and says, "I have a paper due this week, and I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to get an F." And you say to her, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You've always been a straight A student, blah, 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 blah." That's not listening. Listening would be a more loving approach, Well, honey, what is it exactly about the paper that bothers you? Is it the title? Is it the structure of it? Are you having a problem with the footnotes? What exactly is it? And she will tell you and fix it and goes on to make an A because you listened and you got the facts and the two of you dealt with the facts. Now, another example is that of possible suicide. And I've taught classes on this before. This is a very important thing to remember. Somebody in your house, a child or an older person, says to you one day, no, all of you would be better off without me. You never turn that around by saying something like, oh, that's just ridiculous. You know everybody around here loves you. Blah, 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 blah. That's not listening. Listening is to, in a quiet and loving way, say, oh, are you moving out and going to live somewhere else? Or it kind of sounds like you're thinking about hurting yourself. That's getting the facts. And then you deal with the facts to resolve the situation. Another example would be a young sales agent talks to his sales manager and says, I just can't do this job. The sales manager doesn't exclaim anything. He doesn't react. He simply says to the boy, oh, okay. I've heard you do presentations before. Is there something about the way that you're talking to the customers that doesn't seem to be working, or maybe you're having trouble with closing? What exactly could it be? And so they're on a fact-finding job. Listening is finding the facts. Now, this course we're doing is going to be 3 weeks, and it's not going to be anything heavy. Not going to be about suicide or parents or business or whatever. It's just going to be a basic course on how to listen, how to find the facts. And in 3 weeks, you're going to learn how to do it. It's just like these other people that took the course at the church that time. They actually realized that they had never been listening to anybody. For the first time in their lives, they were listening to people around them and having much better communication, much more loving communication. The course is going to be simply, I'll say to you, the dog ran down the road and jumped over the fence. And you will repeat, the dog ran down the road and jumped over the fence. That's getting the facts. You will not say, the dog ran down the road and jumped over a fence. No, it's the fence. You have to get every word correctly. Now, that first hour, you're going to fuss about it because, no, you shouldn't worry about a the or an and being out of place. No, you have to get every word right. It's verbatim repeating. Very important. Because in real life, you will be in situations sometimes under stress or emotionally upset, when it'll be so easy to leave a word out or add a word to the sentence, change the whole meaning. So, the second week will be something like, you're so stupid, honey. You're just like your mother. I can't understand how you can make this grade. You're much more smarter than that. Okay, you got to repeat that word for word. And this statement just reminded you of how you feel about yourself, or how somebody has fussed at you before. You're going to miss a word. You're going to miss a lot of words. So the first week, your discipline of learning to repeat word for word is going to come in handy. And the second hour, then, you will be repeating these things under pressure, and you'll do better. And at the end of the session, you will be able to repeat these sentences even though they upset you emotionally. And the third session is going to be a little more advanced than that. At the end of 3 hours, you're going to know how to listen. You're going to know how to find the facts. More importantly, you're going to know how to love others by listening. As far as I'm concerned, listening to others is one of the greatest ways to love another person. And you're going to learn that. So, the next video now is going to be on how to hear. Stay tuned.